Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm going to cut straight to the point because there are a ton of questions about this industry in general, but the top question is this a good time to actually get into trucking? Now, some people say this is the perfect time to get into trucking because if you can make it in a market like today, you will only be stronger and you're guaranteed to be successful in the future. Now, another question that I keep getting asked is, what do you do if you're already in this industry? So today I'm hoping to help you guys come to your own conclusions. This is not an instructions video. This is not a recommendations video. This video is here just to give you the reality of the situation so that you can make an educated decision. Ready? Let's go. Now, depending on how you're looking at getting into this industry, whether you're looking to go in as a company driver or an owner operator or perhaps a carrier with your own MC number, it will of course be different for each party. But for today's video, we're going to assume that you want to go in as an owner operator. So while you will need your own truck and possibly trailer, you don't really need to worry about getting all those startup documents to get your own MC number and insurance, because both of those are going to be through the company, through the carrier that you are leased onto. It's kind of a middle ground between being a carrier with their own numbers and a company driver. So now let's start breaking this down. If you are looking to get in as an owner-operator leased onto someone else's authority, the first thing you have to think about is what kind of equipment you're going to have. And you have two choices, new or used. Now, an argument can be made for and against both of these. With a new truck or trailer, it is under warranty, so it doesn't break down as often, but it does cost a pretty penny. Now, when you opt for used equipment, yeah, it costs less, but it's more prone to breakdowns. And even if you get aftermarket warranty, there's going to be that downtime. Now, for this example, let's say that you as the owner operator are looking to get into reefers. And why reefers? Well, because they're kind of the middle ground between dry vans and flatbeds when we're talking about the average rate per mile on the spot market. So now let's start calculating, and you will see this calculator right here, and this is based on my averages. I'll be calculating with you guys, so excuse the fact that I'm not looking into the camera. So first of all, the gross income will depend on how much you are ready to drive. And let's say that you are driving about 12,000 miles each month and you drive 30 days with recaps. So that comes out to about 400 miles per day on average. Now, let's say that out of those 12,000 miles, and I'm taking my own averages, 1,000 of those miles in that month were deadhead miles. So your loaded miles were actually 11,000, not 12. Now, the current loaded rate per mile for reefers, as we saw in the market update, is around $2.38 as of last week. And this was a huge jump, which was a little bit abnormal. And this is also an overestimation since it includes those super short hauls, but whatever. Now let's say that you are consistently, without fail, booking loads for those $2.38 per mile. So let's take the 11,000 miles times $2.28 per mile, means that the gross income would be $26,180 in 30 days, or $2.18 per mile with deadhead. Now let's start looking at some expenses. So let's say that you opt to get a new truck because you don't want to pay outrageous amounts for maintenance and breakdowns. And let's say you get a $180,000 truck, which is pretty much the average for a new truck. Now, the interest rates on a good day currently are about 10%. So your monthly payment on a 5-year term will come out to something around $4,000 per month on that truck. Now, for the trailer, let's say that you're leasing that trailer for about $1,100 per month. Insurance, you are leased on with the carrier, so you benefit from the cheaper insurance. So ours currently is around $1,250 per month for liability, but you also need that physical damage insurance on your truck. And for our truck that costs us almost $4,000 per month, the physical damage is $760 per month. So the total insurance cost about $2,010 per month. Then you have the company dispatching fees to consider, right? If you're leased on to a carrier. And let's underestimate this and say that the company charges a solid 10% while you keep the rest, which is 90%. Usually companies average 12% right now, but let's say it's 10. And we will assume that safety is included in the dispatching fee, but you also need to factor those loads because cash flow, you need to make those payments. And we are going to underestimate that as well. Let's say factoring costs you about 2%. You're not going to have any driver salary or wages because you are the one driving. So we will ignore this part for now. And we will also ignore the deductions because we're looking at the best case scenario at the moment. Now, fuel. This is using my averages. On 12,000 miles, the approximate fuel expense with a new truck would be around $6,600, give or take, per month, or about 55 cents per mile. Tolls, let's say an average of $300 per month, depending on where you run. Let's say that maintenance is going to be about $1,500 per month because it's a new truck, but you still have to do those oil changes, you still have to change those tires. ELD, let's say $75, and IFTA around $200 per month. And let's also allocate an additional $1,000 per month for other expenses, consumables and washes and scales and so on and so forth. So based on this, your net profit as an owner-operator who's freaking out every single day about what kind of rate per mile am I going to get? Will I have a load today? Your net profit is $6,253 after running 30 days without break. And the per mile profit comes out to 52 cents. Now, the numbers that you see here are pretty much on par with what numbers you would be seeing if you were a carrier who outsources back office services. Now, I want to point your attention to the profit per mile, which is 52 cents per mile. This is less than what drivers now on reefers get paid. They get paid from 60 to 65 cents per mile. So the first thing you're going to realize is that hiring a driver in this market is pretty much a guaranteed loss. Now, let's do a small comparison. Again, we saw that as an owner-operator who's making 90% of the load, you are making $62.53 net. Now, let's say that you are a company driver who is working for 60 cents per mile on a reefer and all the miles are the same as that imaginary owner-operator that we talked about, 12,000 miles. If you are with a decent carrier who pays you for all miles, not just loaded miles, that's $7,200 per month that you are earning without the headache of, oh my God, am I going to be able to cover my expenses? Do I have enough cash flow? Is the rate per mile okay? Now, let's say that you're with a crap carrier who only covers the loaded miles, which in this example was 11,000 loaded miles, 60 cents per mile. You would still make $6,600 as a company driver, and it's still more than the net profit that the owner-operator who earns 90% of gross makes. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to say, but the taxes, right? The driver, after the taxes are deducted, that's not what they take home. Yes, that is correct, but neither does the owner-operator. They have to pay taxes on that net profit. Now, one more thing that I have to mention. The scenario we looked at is pretty much a best case scenario. Your truck runs every day, you are not losing days, no one is screwing you over, there are no holidays, no bad road conditions or road closures, no unexpected breakdowns, and the rate per mile is a solid $2.38 each and every single time. But the reality is very, very different. For example, even if your truck is new and it has a breakdown, yeah, you might be covered by warranty, which is amazing, but your truck might be out for 2 weeks, which will completely change your numbers. So as a carrier, I can honestly tell you that every single time we are on a load or one of my trucks is on a load, I pray to God, because if there is a slowdown, that means my guy is going to be late. That means a lost day, lost income. If a tire blows, lost money. If a shipper loads late, that means that this load is going to be delayed, another lost day. It's literally a battle for every single cent. And once the load is delivered, you start praying to God that the broker is not going to find a reason to underpay you or go out of business before paying you. So now the question, and this can cause a huge debate, why not just get a used truck with aftermarket warranty? Because it's going to cost you less in financing, or you can pay for it in cash. Well, again, I'm going to speak from my own experience. You guys all know that in the first 3 months of 2023, our old truck cost us over $45,000 in breakdowns. But what is worse, at one point, either in March or April, it was out of commission for 3 weeks. Now, considering the fact that we usually strive to make $1,000 per day and we succeed in making $1,000 per day, 3 weeks means we lost $21,000 in potential income on that truck. So what if you're already in this industry and you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do? Do you keep pushing forward, or do you just pack your stuff and get out as soon as possible? Well, a very smart gentleman on YouTube, who is also the inspiration behind this video, he said that if the amount of money in your bank account at any given point is lower than the amount you need in order to cover your fixed expenses for that month, it's time to shut down, because it's only a matter of time before you are late on payments, then you stop making payments, and so on and so forth. Now, I understand that most of us operate with a hope that I just need to hang in a little bit longer for the market to turn and then I'll be fine. And while I'm all for hope, because as you guys know, I talk about it every single chance I get, we also have to be very logical here. If you're struggling to keep $1,000 on your account, but you know that your fixed expenses are around $5,000 every single month, you need to start making some decisions, because you are literally, as many love to say, one breakdown away from going out. Now, then the question comes is, what do you do if you have a finance truck and the amount that you owe on it is higher than the market price? So if you were to sell it today, you would have to pay to get rid of it. Now, that is a question that I have yet to find an answer to, but I do know that a lot of companies choose to operate at a small loss while utilizing all of their equipment to make those truck payments, then sell their equipment while it's financed and be hit with a huge balance owed when they sell it. But if we really think about it and are living in reality, this is just slowing down the inevitable. That small loss will eventually eat those companies up, and this is also why we're seeing so many bankruptcies right now. So to sum it all up, I may have been in this industry only for 5 years, and I know for a fact that I'm not as experienced as many of you guys are, but one thing that I know is that numbers, they do not lie. You can scream, you can cry, you can complain, you can try to negotiate with those numbers. Trust me, I have tried. And you know what? Numbers don't give a flying about your feelings. Now, I know some of you are going to get really pissed off at me and say, you should be the first one to get out of this industry. Why are you not getting out? Well, the reason I'm not getting out is because of my numbers. My numbers show me that we are staying afloat. Barely, but we are staying afloat. If my numbers start showing consistent losses in the company without any way of restructuring, yeah, I'm shutting this down swiftly and never looking back. I'm in business, I'm not a charity. And operating a business at a loss because you hope that something somewhere somehow gets better soon is not the best way to go. So again, I'm all for hope, and if your forecasts show you or your current operations show you that you are either making just a smaller profit or even just breaking even, then yeah, I say hang in there for better times. But if you're one of those folks who are operating at a loss every single month and betting on a market change soon to help you survive, maybe it's time to sit down and think. A business has to be self-sustainable, meaning at least breaking even in the worst of times, not in the best of times. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today and watching. I hope this gave you some insight and answered the question of whether it's a good time to get into this industry. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of opinions. I'm very interested in reading them. And again, as a reminder, I'm attaching that calculator down below for you so that you can use it to calculate your operations. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.